This is Rex Bear. I guess it's time to get back down to business now. Just blowing off a little steam there a minute ago. It's amazing how so many people get offended when you come up with a 2-minute video of just being a goofball, but that's not the point of this live stream. What I want to talk to you guys about is an article that I'm looking at right now on Newsweek.com, and it's called The Inevitable War Between the U.S. and China. And this came out June 22nd, 2016. And that makes me think about kind of the situation with the islands right now that aren't talked about that much in the mainstream news. It's kind of hush hush. There's several countries that are trying to get a piece of the pie out there. There's nuclear arsenal with China. They've got their carriers out there right now. The U.S. has obviously got a pretty big force out there. But here's my biggest concern with China that's not talked about. And I wrote a lot about this like 7 years ago. I mean, I would do blogs all the time about the microchips that are put in Department of Defense computers, very hush-hush, top-secret computers that have a lot of key sensitive information. Well, they've got these Chinese microchips still in a lot of these computers. You might have a faulty microchip in your computer that you don't know about. So these chips can actually send key information back to whoever has access to the code, essentially. And that's a pretty big deal. Do you guys remember a few years ago hearing about the F-35s having issues in the sky? Pretty recently, actually, there were some issues with the drones overseas. Somebody took over and was actually maneuvering the drones into different areas. And, you know, this could be Chinese microchips. It could be a multitude of things. But that makes me concerned on an even deeper level with the technology and the software and how easy it is to get into some very sensitive data points. Now, for example, let's say that you've got a microchip that you design that's, you know, that can relay information from that specific computer back to a remote source. And there's information in that computer that has, you know, maybe nuclear codes or access to, you know, information on where specific stockpiles are and stuff like that. All this information can go back to individuals that can hack into this kind of stuff. I had a gentleman on the show a while back. I wish I could remember his name. I've done about 400 interviews the past year, so I'm having a tough time remembering here. But this guy's worked with alphabet agencies, you know, very high-level security, and he's got his own security business where he helps people with computers essentially lock down their stuff, because these certain codes that can be put into software now, there's backdoor codes on virtually all software in nuclear reactors, electric grids, utility grids, and everything else. So when do the people that have access to these back doors decide to release a little Stuxnet virus in a particular nuclear reactor in some area because of a business deal that didn't fall through for them? Or maybe they want to show somebody who's boss because they're not playing ball. Do you guys remember China? Last year, I think it was, maybe it was last year, the year before, where they changed the price of their currency several times. And then all of a sudden, one of their facilities, a chemical plant in China, got blown to smithereens, and they said it's because of chemicals in the plant. But if you look at the actual pictures, there weren't that many out there, but if you had access to any of them, you could see these 42-foot container ships that were thrown around like boxes of cereal, you know, boxes of empty cereal. I mean, so something very powerful hit them, and some people speculate it was a space weapon called the Rod of God, and maybe they weren't playing ball with the globalists, so they just decided to push a button and show them who's still in control. I don't know. But China, in my opinion, if there's going to be a war with anybody that would be a concern to me, it would definitely be China. I mean, they've got over 1 billion people there. If you've looked at their military, the technology that they have isn't anywhere near at par with the U.S., but they've definitely got a lot of people that could go into combat. So that's one of the things that's nice about having so many people in the U.S. that have arms is, you know, if there was a nation that came in and attacked via, you know, putting people on the ground, infantry, because people can defend themselves out here, it would be a lot more difficult to take over the U.S. people. And that's why also you see the news articles come out the day after there's supposed mass shootings, and a lot of these are false flags, and there's plenty of evidence to point to that. Not all of them, but most of them that are portrayed in the media, oftentimes in the national scale, I've noticed. Well, China comes out and says, oh, well, you know, we feel so bad for the victims, and that's why you should all give up your guns, because you wouldn't have to worry about anything. So anyway, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on China, what's going on right now with the faulty microchips. Hopefully most of those are out of the defense systems now. Maybe now the new administration isn't going to look for the cheapest bidder to work on military contracts. We'll do all of our stuff here in the U.S. and keep it here at home as far as the military stuff goes. I mean, it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have China make military pieces for you anyway. I mean, does that make sense? Sure, you might save a couple of bucks here and there, but what's the long-term consequence going to be? It could cost you trillions. It could cost you your country in the long run. So isn't that what happened with Rome? I mean, didn't they start giving their military, didn't they start outsourcing their military essentially before it crumbled? So just things to think about, and we'll keep you updated. Talk to you soon. Hey everybody, this is Rex Bear. I guess it's time to get back down to business now. Just blowing off a little steam there a minute ago. It's amazing how so many people get offended when you come up with a 2-minute video of just being a goofball, but that's not the point of this live stream. What I want to talk to you guys about is an article that I'm looking at right now on Newsweek.com, and it's called "The Inevitable War Between the U.S. and China." And this came out June 22nd, 2016. And that makes me think about kind of the situation with the islands right now that aren't talked about that much in the mainstream news. It's kind of hush hush. There's several countries that are trying to get a piece of the pie out there. There's nuclear arsenal with China. They've got their carriers out there right now. The